We are seekers on a quest to discover truth and meaning. Sometimes we think we found it, wrapped up, glimmering with newness, straight off the intellectual assembly line. All the answers right here for us, and others if they'd only listen. But truth has a way of coming in disguise, sometimes wearing rags and sometimes finery, but so often cloaked from our immediate sight. And sometimes that which we have rejected, that which we have let go of, or decided was only for others, but not for us, can be our teacher. Let our time together be an acknowledgement of the never-ending journey toward truth and meaning, and our appreciation of those we learn from along the way. At this time, we have an opportunity to light our candles of community. You can light a candle for a joy or a concern or simply to bring more light into our space. They're back here, not over here.
Hey everybody, come sing a song with me. Here's our note. La. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll sing a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. A rose in the winter time. Thank you.
Let us stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and our spoken affirmation. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, May our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths. Let us join in the spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. Be seated. Our opening thought comes from Richard Schall from Pedagogy of the Oppressed. He writes, "Our advanced technological society is rapidly making objects of most of us and subtly programming us into conformity to the logic of its system. The paradox is that the same technology which does this is also creating a new sensitivity to what is happening, especially among young people. The new media, together with the erosion of old concepts of authority, open the way to acute awareness of this new bondage. The young perceive that their right to say their own word has been stolen from them, and that few things are more important than the struggle to win it back."
Now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which finds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Our next reading comes from the well-known humanist and philosopher of education, John Dewey, from his work, Democracy and Education. Dewey writes, "Knowledge is humanistic in quality, not because it is about human products in the past, but because of what it does in liberating human intelligence and human sympathy. Any subject matter which accomplishes this result is humane, and any subject matter which does not accomplish it is not even educational." Let us join in our time of meditation. I'll be using the words from Leslie Takahashi in her writing, Marginal Wisdom. Let us breathe in and out. In and out. They teach us to read in black and white. Truth is this, the rest false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth in many hues. We are taught to think in either or. To believe the teachings of Jesus or Buddha. To believe in human potential or a power beyond a single will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight, let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center. I'm thankful for the music from George Winston. When we had 2 dogs in our home, one was named George, the other was named Winston. Our second reading is from Malala Yousafzai, from her book, I Am Malala. She writes, "The extremists are afraid of books and pens. The power of education frightens them. They are afraid of women."
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
One thing that all vibrant and flourishing democracies share, one thing they all share in common, is a strong public education. The strongest democracies in the world have the best public education systems in the world. This should not be surprising news. It makes sense that countries that excel in the education of their people would have persons who are most prepared to participate fully and in a knowledgeable way in the political life of their societies. In addition to having the best public education systems in the world, we all know, and I've repeated this on a number of occasions, we also know that the strongest democracies in the world are the countries that are demonstrably the happiest, healthiest, most free, least corrupt, least racist, least sexist, and most protective of LGBTQ2S+ rights, and also the most ecologically sustainable countries on Earth. With such a strong correlation between a strong public education system and a vibrant democracy, and with such a strong correlation between a strong democracy and a flourishing society, it would seem reasonable, it would seem even wise for any country interested in maintaining a vibrant democracy and a flourishing society to invest in maintaining and strengthening its public education system. Why then are so many states in the United States, like our beloved states of Texas and Oklahoma, doing just the opposite? Why are we seeing public education at all levels underfunded, understaffed, and under attack? Why are teachers being underpaid, underprepared, and disrespected? If public education is so central to a flourishing society, why then is public education in the United States of America under siege? Why are teachers and schools, especially in places of great poverty, both urban and rural, being attacked and punished for our systemic failures, rather than being given the support they need to educate students in such challenging contexts where millions of children and youth live in poverty, often come to school hungry, and experience trauma that makes learning so difficult. Sadly, tragically, sinfully even, part of the answer to these questions lies in the fact that there are persons and entities who are profiting both politically and financially from the systemic failures of our public education system. Failures which they actively cause and perpetuate. As if profiting trillions of dollars off of our unjust and inequitable healthcare system is not enough, these entities see trillions of more dollars to be made on controlling and privatizing public education, with the extra perk of being able to control the curriculum in the schools to further their political and financial interests. This is what the battle over vouchers is all about. If you can make public education fail, and then convince enough people that the only way to turn things around is by giving people public money to attend private schools, this takes even more money from public schools, further ensuring their continued failure, and puts money directly into the hands of the providers of private education. It is a pernicious and vicious cycle. And it rarely provides students and families who are persons of color with enough voucher assistance to attend a private school, thus bringing even more racial and economic segregation to an already deeply racist and inequitable education system. In addition to the profits that can be made by private interests in privatizing public education, weakening our public education system also furthers the interests of persons, groups, and other entities within our society who do not have an interest in strengthening our democratic processes, structures, or institutions. For these persons, a more fully participatory democracy is seen as a threat. It's a threat to their economic and political power, a power that is often linked with religious and racial identity and has found dangerously powerful expression in a growing and primarily white and extremely patriarchal Christian nationalism. It's no accident that the most vocal critics of public education today are the ones who accuse public education of, quote, left-wing indoctrination, end quote, who call for a ban on critical race theory in all of our schools, who call for the banning of books they don't like from school libraries, and who vilify persons of different sexual orientations and gender identities. Sadly, though not surprisingly, my home state, Oklahoma, has become ground zero for the ongoing siege against public education, with public school leaders, teachers, and even now whole school districts coming under vicious and relentless attacks by the very person who was elected to support the work of public instruction in my state, the state superintendent of public instruction. In public higher education, this is at all levels, it's not just K through 12, in higher education at the public level, boards of regents, these are the board of directors, sometimes called the trustees at private institutions. The board of regents has been stacked with persons with similar views, similar ideological views. And searches for university presidents now are no longer public searches. They're no longer transparent searches, but rather they are done in secret, more reminiscent of a political appointment process than a search for the best academic leader for institutions of higher education. The public doesn't even know who has applied for these positions until a person who has been selected by the private secret committee announces the new president. Humanities and the social sciences are being systematically cut in higher education in the name of academic program prioritization, under the guise of promoting more job-oriented programs. And diversity, equity, and inclusion work at all levels of public education is vilified as leftist, woke propaganda. And what is offered to replace this leftist propaganda of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and to counter the woke teachers who are indoctrinating kids into the woke agenda? PragerU. PragerU. That is what is being offered. Even the name of PragerU is propaganda. The use of the letter U makes people associate this right-wing propaganda organization with universities and institutions of higher education, much like Trump U attempted to do a number of years ago. PragerU is not a university, it's not a college, it's not even a school. It's a political propaganda organization funded by right-wing billionaires, two of which are from Texas, by the way, and by the religious right to further right-wing causes and promote revisionist history. The state superintendent for public instruction in Oklahoma has entered into an agreement that PragerU materials for children and youth will be available for all of the public schools in Oklahoma. Dennis Prager, the founder of PragerU, the curriculum of which Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters wants in every public school in Oklahoma, said this on his radio show in April of 2022. Quote, "It's like their race hoax industry. If you see a noose on a college dorm of a black student, the odds are overwhelming that the noose was put there by a black student. If you see the N-word on a dormitory building, the odds are overwhelming that a black student actually did that. We're filled with race hoaxes," end quote. Dennis Prager, April 26, 2022. It, of course, should be noted that all available data and the evidence collected by persons who actually study hate crimes run counter to Prager's claim. But Prager is not concerned with the actual truth of such things that do not serve the purposes of his propaganda. PragerU's founder, Dennis Prager, is also well known for saying the following, quote, "It is an axiom of contemporary marital life that if a wife is not in the mood, she need not have sex with her husband. Here are some arguments why a woman who loves her husband might want to rethink this axiom. End quote. Dennis Prager, When a Woman Isn't in the Mood, Part 1, Town Hall, December 23rd, 2008. PragerU is also infamous for posting the following statement on social media. Quote, young people are enamored with anti-racist rhetoric because they think they are fighting racist systems in America. The truth, all caps, is they are fighting America itself and the very values the country was founded on. End quote. This would be what some would call a self-own. PragerU downplays the evils of racism and slavery in American history, even using cartoon misrepresentations of Columbus and Frederick Douglass to make the case to children and youth that slavery was part of the way things were and not as bad as it has been made out to be. Not as bad as it has been made out to be. In addition to developing a partnership with PragerU, Oklahoma is also testing precedents set by the Supreme Court of the United States concerning the establishment of religion by agreeing to use public education funding for a Catholic online education program that will be promoting Catholic religious teachings to its students. The Free Speech Center at Middle Tennessee State University characterizes the Supreme Court of the United States' precedents on the establishment of religion as follows, specifically pointing to the Lemon test. You may have heard the Lemon test. The Lemon test, while it has been criticized and modified through the years, remains the main test used by lower courts in Establishment Clause cases, such as those involving government aid to parochial schools or the introduction of religious observances into the public sector. Under the three-part test, the court would examine the proposed aid to the religious entity and ensure that it had a clear secular purpose. The court also would determine if the primary effect of the aid would advance or inhibit religion. For the third prong, the court would examine whether the aid would create an excessive governmental entanglement with religion. End quote. What Oklahoma is attempting to do with public funding of Catholic education is a clear violation of the Lemon test. It is a clear violation of the Lemon test. But it is uncertain whether the current right-wing Supreme Court of the United States will continue to uphold the Lemon test or not. The idea here is that this funding of private Catholic education by public education funds will make its way all the way to the Supreme Court to challenge the Lemon test. One thing is clear: public education is under siege by forces who have power and money to gain from weakening public education. This is both bad for our democracy and bad for the flourishing of our society in general. It is also clear that Oklahoma has become ground zero in the attack on public education at all levels, which also means that Oklahoma must become ground zero in the fight to protect public education at all levels, to protect it from being overcome by undemocratic and autocratic powers, for their economic and religious interests. For the sake of a vibrant, participatory democracy, we cannot allow our public education system to be the subject of a hostile takeover by corporate greed and Christian nationalism. And so therefore, it is vital that in the ground zero for protection of public education in my state of Oklahoma, that we make sure that public funds are not spent on religious private education, that we make sure that a right-wing propaganda organization is not used as the curriculum within our public schools, and that public money not be used for private vouchers to encourage private education over public education. At this time, there's an opportunity to give, and you may bring your gifts to the table, or there's also an opportunity to give online. Let us stand in body or spirit for our parting thought and extinguishing the chalice. Our parting thought comes from Jean Piaget on education. The principal goal of education in the schools should be creating persons who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. Persons who are creative, inventive, and discoverers, who can be critical and verify and not accept everything they are offered. Let us join in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.